Hey guys, I'm waiting on some last bits and pieces I ordered to finish off some of my radio projects. So I thought I would spend a few days seeing if I can get this Hallicrafters 506 running. If you look through my videos, I recorded one earlier where I did a brief overview of the insides and the outsides, so you might want to watch that first. I already took the picture tube out for safekeeping. It's over here. This is an electrostatic 7-inch set. So there's no yoke on these. There's actually 4 metallic plates, 2 for horizontal, 2 for vertical inside, and uses a high voltage, about 5 or 6,000 volts, I believe, to actually electrostatically deflect the electron beam to draw the picture. It's got push button tuning, which is really odd for a TV. So anyways, the first thing I need to do to get started is to find a schematic. Didn't have any luck finding one for the 506, but there's plenty of references to the 505, which I believe is awfully close. Where I finally found it was in my most often needed 1948 television servicing information manual put out by Beatman. There's a whole series of these. Prior to 47, they're only radio. 47 was the first year they had FM radio and television added, and I know they went up until at least the early 60s. Every year there was at least one issue, sometimes 2 or 3, to cover, I guess, what they consider to be the most popular TVs of the day. Inside here, some of them, sometimes the info is a little sparse. It might just have the schematic and maybe just 1 or 2 pages on how to align it. But some of the other sets, you get lucky and they have like waveforms and voltages and little detailed info on how to work on the set. Some of these are also kind of neat in that the schematic is, let's see if I can find one, is an actual blueprint, a real, old school blueprint with the blue background and white printing. The one downside, as you may have noticed, me trying to fiddle with this, is that it's a bound manual, which means it's very, very difficult to get the lie flat. And because these are kind of vintage and collector's items, I'm not too crazy about trashing the binding to make it lay flat. So I actually already scanned the pages, and I'll be printing those out to work off of. But here it is in the actual book. So this specifically says models T54 and 505. And I asked around, I did a little bit of comparison, and it is pretty close to the 506, so I think I'll be okay. The main difference seems to be this specifies 6 SH7 tubes for the IF stages, whereas this has 6 AU6s. 6 SH7s are kind of oddball tubes. I don't think I've ever seen one. So I'm glad it doesn't use those, because I don't know if where I'd find any spares. So I'm gonna pop the knobs off this and slide the chassis out, and let's get a better look at what I have to deal with. Okay, here we are. Here's the chassis. Quick overview. This has no power transformer. It runs directly off the AC line with a voltage doubler using a selenium rectifier, some electrolytics below, and this big transformer looking guy over here is actually a filtered choke. The cathode ray tube would mount into that socket, and it just sits there. There's no mounting strap or anything. I guess gravity just holds it in place. And there's probably was some padding down here, but now it's just metal, so I'll put something down there. Bunch of optical tubes, and then a whole bunch of miniatures. I'll have to test all those. Here's a push button tuning mechanism with a whole mess of trimmer capacitors. Hopefully I won't have to mess with. So let's see what's underneath. Nice thing about transformerless chassis is they're quite light. So here we go. Oh no, this doesn't use any can capacitors. They're all actually all mounted underneath. So the electrolytics, biggest guy, main filter one is down here. Another guy over here, up here, and up there. Now some of these others that may look like electrolytics, like this huge guy here, are not. They're actually high voltage caps. This is a 0.03 microfarad 6,000 volt cap. Another 6,000 volt cap, 6,000 volt cap, and so on. That's to couple the deflection signals to the deflection plates on the high potential electrostatic picture tube. So the first thing I'm going to do is tackle these guys. They're really nasty looking. Almost look like old batteries, the way the electrolyte is bubbling and oozing out of there. Nasty wax guys. Initially I was thinking that I would try to restuff these like I did on that Hippo radio up there. Basically you heat these up with a heat gun, the wax melts, and get the insides out, retain the cardboard tube, put the new caps inside, restuff it with wax. I will try to do on one of these, but these are in worse condition than I remember them being in, so it might be more trouble than it's worth. So yeah, the main thing, like any old set, is all these capacitors. I'm not sure I have all these on hand, so I'll definitely do the best I can with the electrolytics. I know I have some of these high voltage caps, but I know I don't have this one. I don't even see this on the schematic, so this might have been one of the production differences with the 506 versus the 505. It has a huge high voltage capacitor, but I think I have some high voltage caps for these other guys down in here. Another thing of interest is this isolated little board here with all these resistors on it. This is actually the high voltage bleeder network. Really high valued resistors of like 3.9 mega ohms, 3.3 mega ohms. There's a 5.6 mega ohm. The reason I did this is you need to tap different voltages for various parts of the tube, like the focus and deflection plates and so on. And you need to use they used a whole bunch of these resistors, because if you just put several thousand volts across a resistor, it'll short. It'll actually arc across. So a bunch of these, they're just, well, I'll show you the schematic. They're just wired end to end, but there's no actual signals tapped off a bunch of them. They're just there to divide out the voltage so there's no arcing across the resistors. So say there's a couple 3.9 mega ohm resistors, then the focus control, and then a bunch of 4.7 and 3.3s and so on. And then you get the vertical and horizontal positioning. So it's kind of some of the novel circuitry of an electrostatic set versus an electromagnet set. So I am going to grab a notepad and start jotting down these values, and then look through my stash, see what I have, and also I'll start testing these tubes.